I got older and my lips been turning colors now.
Welcome back to the Monmouth Basketball Hawks Nest podcast. We hope everybody had a great summer. Hope everybody is good in good health, good spirits. Basketball season is on the way, 2023-24 season. Let's get after it. We told you this morning around 6 a.m. we had a very special guest on the show tonight. Well, here he is, 13th season, Coach King Rice at Monmouth. First, Coach, thank you for coming on. How are you doing this summer? How is everything with Xander back in West Long Branch full time for now, and just how are you guys doing?
Well, guys, it's good to be on. It's good to see you guys. We've had a great summer. After what our season went last year, you got to do some soul searching. I realized the problems, and just really thought about my approach, how I was reaching the kids, and needed to truly look in the mirror. And so I did that. And now with Xander coming home, that's, as a father, makes you the happiest person. I'm trying to get him to understand this year is going to be hard because I'm his pops. And people are going to come after him because they're coming after me. And, these are just things he's had to deal with in his life. But he's so mature. He's making me a better coach, just because he keeps his cool so often. So he makes me have to take a step back and say, hey, stop getting so frustrated and teach. And because he looks at me like he always has and is like, man, yeah, this is terrible, without even saying it. So he's helped us tremendously already. I was proud that he wanted to come in early. I gave him off till July. He came in June 10th. With the whole team and really integrated with the guys. So he's one of the guys, and he's been an incredible leader so far. So it's a cool thing so far.
And everybody at Monmouth is excited to see them the blue and white versus the blue and orange this year. As soon as that came out on Twitter, it exploded, and we got a lot of group chats going, and people were excited, I can tell you that.
Well, I'll tell you guys, that was, one of the hardest decisions as a father and as a coach. I had Coach Boeheim saying, King, what's wrong with you? Your son is really good. Take him. I had Jeff Lebo say to me, King, have you told him he has a scholarship? And I said, well, Jeff, I was thinking maybe he could come and we don't have to put him on scholarship, but give me an extra guy. And he was like, King, you cannot do that to your son. He was like, you cannot do that. And I was just like, well, he would want us to have another good player. And Jeff really said, King, man, you're blowing this one. And, when the recruiting happened, guys, I tried to tell everybody I thought his level was our level, maybe a little higher. I thought he could play at the highest level, but he wouldn't probably play until his junior year. But I thought as a freshman, say if North Carolina recruited him, he wouldn't play much as a freshman. But as a sophomore, I thought you would say, hey, we could put him in the games. And then as a junior, you would say, we got a good one. And as a senior, he'd probably have a better senior year than his dad did. But I, at that time, didn't think I was the best coach for him because I'm his dad and I'm hard on him about a lot of things. And I probably was too hard on him when he was growing up. And I thought he needed this. He needed to go away and accomplish what he wanted to do. And, as a family, Bucknell is a great institution. I was the first one in my family to go to college. So when that opportunity presented itself, I thought we would be not smart as a family because that probably would be better for Alexander. And they didn't win enough games. So Nathan didn't get to keep his job. But I'm close with Nathan. He helped me with my son. He helped me understand him more. As a dad, I push and push and push and not listen enough. And Nate taught me that my son is this way because he's a high achiever and he's just this way. And I shouldn't get down on him. I shouldn't keep pushing him. He's going to do great at school. He's going to have a good career in basketball. And then he's going to be a good man. And I I was trying to rush the process for him. And, so when he chose Bucknell, we cried, we were happy. Um, and then he had a really, really good career. I tell everybody it was better than my career. And, my team success was better, but him as a player, he had a better career than I did. And I thought he was going to want to play at the high major level. When the schools that he had some really good ones in the ACC. And I just thought as a dad, that's been his dream the whole time. That's what he would do. And those schools recruited him hard, and we don't have to call names out because I'm friends with a lot of them. And he just thought that this could be the coolest part of his life. And once again, now I'm crying because that when your son says that, it's like, wow, he's really grown up and he wants to come and play for his dad. So, and represent Monmouth, because Micah and Justin and Colin and all those guys were his big brothers the whole time. People don't know Colin Stewart used to take him to lunch almost every day. He'd say, Dad, can I go to the calf with Colin? I'd be like, you can't go with anybody else, but you can go with Colin. So he grew up a Monmouth basketball guy, and now he gets to wear the blue and white, and I couldn't be more proud.
Yeah, I remember at the Orlando tournament, him being on the end of the bench. And it just kind of comes full circle now because it seems like he always belonged on that bench in a way.
And I appreciate that. I remember he looked so young, and every once in a while I'll see the bench mob, and he was down there with those guys, and he just looked like he was like 10 years old. I'm like, man, he was a baby seeing this stuff. So we're so happy as his mom, his little brother. He thinks I'm too soft on Julian. He thinks I do baby workouts with Julian, and I didn't do that with him. And little does he remember, his were probably easier than Julian's.
Well, I'm sure they're not easy now. So back in the fall of 2018, Ryan started this podcast, and for a few years, it really was the only basketball team-specific fan-run mid-major podcast in the whole Northeast. And we actually gave more coverage than the Asbury Park Press that year. It was the year where the coverage kind of just dipped off as the shine of the Robinson years sort of wore off, and the Asbury Park Press became a little less interested. Did you know of the podcast back then? And if so, what was it like for you as a coach having your team covered in such a unique way?
See, I think when it first started, I would hear about it, and I was like, man, it's the Monmouth podcast. Shouldn't we be involved in that? Okay, if it's a Monmouth basketball podcast, man, to me, I'm like, man, we should be on it. We should have something to do with it. And Badger and Viscomi said, well, King, that's theirs. And I'm like, well, it's called Monmouth Basketball Podcast, and I was like, man, guys, how is that even? But guys, you got to understand, when I first came here, there wasn't a lot of podcasts at all. Okay, it was probably some self-help things going on. And at that time, Tony was the reporter, and the how you got covered changed. Like, reporters ask you questions, they report on stuff. And then all of a sudden it was like Tony was a reporter, so I'm meeting with him and talking. And then he's a columnist, which now he's doing opinion pieces. And I'm like, well, I'm giving him all the stuff, and now he's doing opinions. And, the news media changed like right when I became a head coach, and I had never dealt with it like that. So I'm like, well, why would I talk to him and give him all this stuff if then he's just going to write an opinion piece instead of report what's going on? So it took me a little while to really understand the coverage and to understand that people have opinion pieces. It might be a reporter that does that. There might be a podcast. I had a friend in Kansas City moved to like San Diego and was doing one long time ago. And I was like, how are you going to make money? Like, I did not understand it. And he was like, no, man, I'm just going to talk sports. And I'm like, well, why would anybody listen to your deal, bro? Like, you're just a guy from Kansas. You live in California. Why? So there had to be some growth on my part to understand. And then, guys, the other part is, when you choose a public life, you got to take all parts of it. There's some really cool parts about being a head coach. I prayed for it. I wanted to be it. And the part I didn't really understand, even sitting next to Coach Stallings for so many years, is how public your job is. You know, when you're assistant coach, you're just one of the guys that's there, and it's, you know, you're not the one. And, you know, I try to be all inclusive with my staff. I say we a lot, but when the push comes to shove, it's me. And, you know, I handled that criticism as a kid, as a player. You can deal with it. And then as a coach, it's like, man, you're trying to do everything you can. And why are people hitting you and stuff? So I think it just took me some time to understand the coverage that I was going to receive. I hadn't received it like that since I had left Carolina. I received it a little bit after that when I wasn't carrying myself the right way. You get a lot of publicity when you do the wrong thing. So I dealt with those things, but I truly didn't understand that it was really all me. You know, I had a good team put together as a staff, but people want to know what your deal is. And I don't know if I was ready for all of that to start coming once the job was my job. I didn't really think, okay, right now I got to start answering all these things. I just wanted to coach ball. So it took me some time to get used to the limelight of being a head coach. And, you know, I think after a year or two, I started understanding my role better.
So you guys now have spent a year in the CAA after almost a decade in the MAC, and after what was a tough season last year, being able to reflect on all of that, what do you see as the biggest difference in competition between MAC and CAA basketball?
See, I think last year the MAC had an incredible top to bottom, but usually when you're one of the top teams in the MAC, the teams at the bottom aren't going to beat you. And last year in our league, we had some super teams at the top, and then the teams at the bottom probably weren't going to beat those teams. But in most years, you know, you go to A&T on a Wednesday night, they could beat you. It doesn't matter what the record is. You go to Wilmington, they could clobber you. Then you got Towson. So I used to explain to people about the SEC in football. Okay, you play in that league. It's on a Saturday at Mississippi State, you might get beat by 50. Okay, then you got Georgia at home, then you're at Alabama, and it's like, whoa. That's how this league felt. It was like the top teams in the MAC could win this league on a given year. I'm not downing the MAC at all, but from top to bottom, I think it's a tougher league. And there's, you know, we're trying to catch up with some things with budgets. You know, you 1,000% want to make this move to the CAA, but when you make this move, you know, our budgets are not to the CAA level yet. Our school does a tremendous job, but we took a giant step up. You know, soccer teams flying 3 times down to North Carolina and South Carolina. You know, usually the football team, football and basketball is going to be okay, usually. But the other sports, you know, now everybody's tight around here just because it's a bigger thing we're biting from now. So I think when we get our budgets up, our women's teams stepped up in this league and did tremendously well with women's soccer, women's basketball, women's field hockey. I think our track team did well. You know, I think football and basketball, we stepped up probably to the league that was way bigger than where we were at, and we took some lumps. And ours, you know, I scheduled too hard last year for the group I had. And then the other part of it, you know, with Miles and Miles, see what people don't understand. I think what happened a little bit with them, because I felt like those kids were going to have a breakout year. But I thought the year before when I brought in Shavar and Walker, I did a poor job with those 2 kids. Okay. When I brought in Shavar and Walker, I just thought, well, they're higher level kids. They're great guys. They're going to get great with the team. The younger guys will understand. And I didn't do enough explaining to Miles and Miles. So I kind of lost them that year. Even though we had a great season, they were feeling a little bit like, man, you brought us here. Now it's our turn. And you bring these other guys in. And it was hard to catch it back up. And then you add in how I scheduled last year, the start of it. You know, if you separate them games a little bit, I think you know If we have Seton Hall, if you give me one or two in between Virginia and Illinois, we don't get that beat up. And that the Illinois one felt like at Kentucky and at Kansas. Every other time on those games, I never felt like that. Those games, those 3 games where you're standing there and you're like, man, I shouldn't have did this to my kids. This was too much for us. Well, that's how it felt after those 3 games. And, you know, those guys lost a lot of confidence. And I was trying to build them back up, but because what happened the year before, it was hard for them to trust it. And you could see that on the floor. And I tell everybody, you know, when someone leaves your program, you're leaving the coach. Okay, usually the school is fine, usually the stuff, usually the basketball is fine. You know, you're saying, I don't want to play for you. So that one really hurt because, you know, I spent a lot of time with those kids, but I understand I wasn't reaching them. Okay, and that's something that, you know, people that watch, you know, I take a lot of pride that I'm so honest with the families when we recruit them. And I think I can reach kids. That's what I think I'm the best at in this, not in my job. That's the part I'm best at, is reaching kids. And because of how I did it the year before, I couldn't get them back. And I think it showed, you know, because they had spurts where they were really good, both of them. And then there was other times where you could just see we had lost some trust. And, you know, so I wish those 2 kids and Teron well. I like all 3 of them. But those are the things that you get to make the decisions. And I did it the way I did it. I tried to clean it up before the season by going to seeing their families and telling them how important those guys were going to be for that year, that I needed them to go from 10 minutes to 28 and from 6 points to 17. And it's a hard thing to do, but I'm there for them. And, you know, I just think I had already cut the cord a little bit with those kids, and it was hard for them to get all the way back in. So they're at different places now. I've talked to all the coaches at the places. They're happy. The kids are happy. I see Big Miles lost a bunch of weight. That puts a big smile on my face because I couldn't get him to do that. You know, we pushed. Maybe my words weren't the right ones, but that kid is a good basketball player, and he's an outstanding young man. His mom is incredible. Miles Ruth's family is one of the best families we've had since we've been here. And Teron's father, we're like the same age, so we're like buddies. And you know, but when you're not reaching the kids, you got to look in the mirror. Okay, it's not like when I was in school, you're not reaching the kids. The kid's a bad kid, get him out of here. Well, that's not the case anymore. And it's our jobs to reach them, and especially my job to reach the kids and the parents that send their kids and trusted me with them. So we'll get it back going. But I have to be real with myself, and the scheduling was too hard and for that team. And then on top of, I had lost them the year before. That just made it where it wasn't going to be fun. And I had to live with it. Okay, I felt awful for the kids. I felt awful for the fans because I did it. Okay, and anything you know about me, I own up to my mistakes and then I fix it. And we built this team with the thoughts of everybody was laughing at us last year. Everybody's calling me wanting to play when nobody wants to play. Well, we're gonna find out who's laughing this year. That's why I'm not talking junk. We're just a different group with different energy, and our coaches are doing a better job than we did at the beginning last year.
I think the Miles Ruth thing was a tough situation too, because he came in during the COVID shortened year. And when we see the roster, when it comes out in June, July, August, around there, I think most of us thought, all right, he's a freshman, Don Bosco, didn't get a lot of hype. He'll probably be, you know, the 8th, 9th guy. And then opening night, he's starting at point guard. And we were all kind of shocked when we saw the lineup. And he hits a couple of threes. He's 3 or 4 steals a game. And like, this kid can play. Like, he's small, but he's good. Mm-hmm. And he went from starting that year, and he tailed off a little at the end of the season. He struggled a little at the end, but he had a great year. And then obviously we bring Shavar in. He takes the back seat. And last year was tough. And then Jakari's next to him. And I think that was more just a unique situation. And it's, you know, obviously you're on the inside and we're not. I think that was just kind of a unique one where it's hard to handle a situation like that. And when you get a kid like Shavar, I mean, you're not passing that kid up. You're just not. I mean, we did a draft. You don't know. You probably don't know this. We did a draft last year. We drafted every player from the King Rice era. Me, Mark, and Mike, who's also on with us. He was a lacrosse player at Monmouth. And Shavar was probably in the top 3 or 4 that got taken. So we're like, there's no way you're passing that kid up. So I think that's part of the Miles thing too. But going ahead to this year, like you said, there's a lot of new faces on this team, including your son Xander. We're very excited about him. But who's a couple of guys that maybe fans aren't thinking about that are going to be impact right away? Like maybe we don't see them, but they're going to be impact kids right away.
Well, guys, Jared Valencia was on the team last year. High level kid from Columbia, lived in the States, had Rutgers, had UConn for a little while, had a bunch of super high majors, and then it just didn't go his way. And a lot of people that were recruiting him wanted him to redshirt for their level, which was understandable. He weighed about 160 pounds, 6'8", 6'9". So we get him and he's playing, and I'm like, wow, he probably get 20 minutes. But I told his family and his people that we would redshirt him. Okay, so then we scrimmage Bucknell and he plays incredibly well. And I'm like, listen, young fella, you'll start and probably play 20 to 25 minutes. And he said, Coach, let me talk to my family. Talked to his family, and they said, we're redshirting. Okay, so I think people are going to be extremely happy with him. He's long. The thing about Jared is he hasn't played in a lot of games. Okay, he played at Pangos All-American Camp. When he first came over, they sent him to the school that LeBron James' son was going to last year, but his visa didn't work. So then they sent him to another school in San Diego. His visa still didn't work. So he's 15 years old, been over here for a year, 2 years, hasn't played basketball yet. Then they send him to Tennessee. And the kid never complained. I didn't know him then, but what he told me was then he got to Tennessee and he said, Coach, the coach just didn't like me, man. He wouldn't even give me a chance. So then from Tennessee, he said he was going to go to Spain and just try to play pro. And one of the guys that works with his family was like, or he said, send me to Houston. My brother lives in Houston. He went to Houston and found a place to play. So he played 1 year of high school, really, and then Pangos camps and AAU stuff and had high major people wanting him to come. So he had a great year with us. I'm in the process of playing him really a 3-4, and he's 6'9". He's going to guard the point guard sometimes. He's going to definitely guard one of the best players on the other team. He's shooting the ball from 3 incredibly well. He's long, lanky, offensive rebound, shoots to the 3, and can really, really guard. And he's a better passer than I think we even know. He's just starting to show us that. He's one. Boog Robinson, Cornelius Robinson, the kid that we got late. We thought we were getting Boog for 3 years. And then he came on his visit, and then he went on his Albany visit, and they beat us. And we were crushed. But we handled things the right way with the family. And for some reason, Albany wasn't taking him. And his dad called me, and I said, your son could come with me. And he was like, well, don't you got to ask somebody, King? And I said, why would I have to ask somebody? I got a scholarship. I know your family. Your son's a great student. I know what happened. I watched it a whole bunch of times. And I said, you're a good family. Your son made a mistake. I'm the head coach. I made thousands of mistakes. Okay. We don't hold that against you. I heard him say sorry. I know he had to pay his dues. So if you want to come here, your son could come here. So they jumped on that. But Cornelius he could be one of the guys that starts as a freshman. Okay. He's ready right now. He can play the 3, the 4. He also is great on defense. And we might even do some small ball 5 with him because you can have Jared at the 4 and we could be super long, and Boog could guard a 5-man. Probably the only one I really wouldn't want him to guard is the kid from Drexel. But we would, maybe he can get up under him, and when they try to have him bring it up the floor on our 5-man, okay, he won't bring it up on Boog Robinson. So, that's going to give us something right there. That will be different because that was hard to deal with in the tournament last year when their 5-man was bringing it up the court. But that's Zach Spiker, and he's a good coach, and he knew that would give us problems. So he did that. The other person is Abdi. Okay, our young guard that we got from Arizona. Um, I don't compare. I get mad at people when they talk about Justin Robinson. Okay, that kid changed all our lives at this school. Um, the only person I saw do what Abdi is doing as a freshman is Justin. Okay, that Micah could do a lot of stuff, but Micah didn't get to play his first year here. Okay, Micah came in a little bit older. This kid he's a young kid coming straight from high school, and we're so lucky we have him. And if people didn't just go crazy in the portal, he'd be at a high major school right now. And this boy shoots it. He can handle it. We're working on his body because he's very slim, but he's another one that could break through as a freshman. Um, I'm trying to slow play it because he has to get better on defense. But he's trying super hard. He's trying harder than I ever seen him try on defense. So if he gets that part, like just trying hard every play, he's going to be a kid that plays a lot of minutes early, and he can play the 1, the 2, the 3, and he shoots it, and shoots it. Like he scores on Jack Collins like Jack Collins ain't the best defender on our team. Okay, and it makes Jack a little frustrated sometimes because this kid on a one-on-one is hard to stop. So those guys as young dudes have a chance to break through. Um, Jarrett is starting. That's done. That's already been decided. He might be our most important guy because he's gonna be able to guard so many people. Now we got 3, 4 guys we can throw the lobs to. Um, and then guys, a person that's really been really good all summer, shooting the ball and playing defense is Jaden Doyle. Okay, Jaden didn't play a lot. He redshirted, then he didn't play a lot. Um, he's super athletic, but now he's really shooting it. We had the guys make 500 jumper threes a day, every day for the summer. So dude's made like 38,000 shots, and Jaden Doyle, it's still going. Um, and now we're trying to get his confidence up to where it was when he first came here. And I think he's a kid that could help us in a lot of ways that we haven't seen do a lot so far.
So 2 years ago, we kind of touched on this a little bit. You struck gold in the transfer portal with the proven commodity and Shavar Reynolds, and then I say the shrewdest transfer addition in the whole nation that year in Walker Miller. Nobody knew that kid could play like you knew that kid could play. Okay, Ryan and I, when we went to that practice and we saw him, I'm like, what did he just do? Is that a hook? Is that a flip? Look at his body control. Look at the ball fake. Look at the way he uses his off shoulder. Like, we were blown away, and it was probably one of the most unique offensive skill sets I've ever seen from a 6'10" guy. But nobody knew but you. So, people criticize, give you your flowers for things. That is the ultimate move I've ever seen from you, getting that kid. So now when we look at last year, you kind of chose to go against using the transfer portal when building that roster. Was it, since you kind of spoke to us about rebuilding that relationship and the confidence in your guys who were here in Ruth and Foster, was that the decision to not dip back into the transfer portal last year? Was it the right fits weren't there? I think a lot of fans wondered, because it was uber successful for you with Shavar and Walker, who I know are awesome basketball players, and from what everybody tells me, even better people. So it was, unbelievable to bring them here. But, what was the decision about not going to the transfer portal last year?
Well, guys, you also have to remember we kept George and we kept Marcus. Okay, those guys would have been gone too. All right, so we had 4. And George got a lot of people came after George. Shavar thought Malik was coming, staying. Okay, Shavar thought that. Ray was trying hard to come back. Okay, and just in the conversations, we decided to stay with Shavar, and we had some strong conversations with Ray, and we didn't think it was the right time to do that. But we fought hard to keep George, and Marcus said from day one, I'm not going anywhere else, coach. I'm staying here with you. Okay, so that was a blessing, and but it was 4 guys that we had stay. And well, we brought two and had two stay. And guys, I'll tell you, I commit to these families. Okay. When I recruit someone, that's why it hurts when someone leaves. Like I go all in. When we come, we go in and we care about you, and we tell you what we think is going to how your 4 years are going to go. We really try to explain it to them. Dr. McNeil used to say, King, you tell everything. And I do, because the worst part is if you come and it's not like I told you. Okay, it's not like exactly like I told you, then you could look at me and say, you lied to me, coach. And that's what kids will do. Okay, so I try to tell them exactly how it's going to be. COVID happens. Now you can take older guys. I knew Walker Miller. Okay, I knew him for a long time, just as a kid, because his brother and I are super duper tight. So I knew, and the guys at Carolina knew. Coach Williams just didn't think he had enough quick twitch muscles. Okay, but I watched blue-white games where he gave the guys that are in the pros now 27 and 15. Okay, 24 and 15 in blue-white games. That's in public. And coach just didn't see him as a guy that could do that. So I knew what Walker Miller could do. And I probably got to remember, Shavar walked on at Seton Hall. Okay. We had Justin, Micah, Jalan, everybody. So at the time, you say, well, we ain't taking this kid from down here. We had all these guards, so that was probably a mistake on my part. Shavar goes up there. Every year, Kevin Willard called me at the end of the season and said, King, will you take him? I said, yes. And then he would stay and end up being a starter. Then the next year, 40 goes up and is on their staff. He leaves here. He goes up there. King, man, we got to get back, man. You want him? Yes. And he doesn't come. They keep him and he ends up starting up there. So we did it that year. But I thought if we did it again back to back, Miles' family, both of them, and Teron, they could say, you're a liar, King. You told us you were going to raise us up to have a chance. And now 2 years in a row, I didn't really get a chance. And I just thought, this was all me. I didn't think it was right to do that to him 2 years in a row. Now, I should have added to that and not scheduled as hard, because I knew we were young. I knew it. But I watched them have success at times. So I'm like, man, these two can handle it. They ready to take the big step. And like you said, Miles could guard anybody when Miles is being Miles. But once I lost that connection, he didn't want to do that anymore like that. So I truly felt like you have to, if you give kids your word that they're going to get a chance as they grow in your program, you can't just always go to the portal. And then the other guys on the team too. That means the juniors and those guys aren't going to play for another year. And now that's 2 classes in a row that you did it to. I don't feel right doing it like that. I think you make commitments to families. Sometimes you really never know what you're getting until they get here. No matter how good they've shown, you really don't know until they're under the lights here. So I think, that's why I didn't do it 2 years in a row. And then, when you have the season we had, you got to look at everything. Okay. So I don't like losing like that. I know y'all don't. Okay. But think times if it was you in charge of it losing like that, you would make changes too. So we met some really cool kids. I was talking to all types of coaches because my own son, I'll tell you, I did not recruit my son. All right. I told him at the beginning of the season, he asked me one time, he said, Dad, what do you think I should do? I said, man, did you bump your head? How are you asking me? You never asked me anything. And he said, no, Dad, what do you think after this year? I said, well, we're not going to worry about it at all because I want you just to have your best year. But I think you should come to Monmouth. Okay. I think it'll be cool for you. I think it'll be cool for me. It would definitely be cool for your mom and your little brother. I said, but I'm not talking to you about it no more. After the season, he asked me, I said, man, come on. I already told you. I'm not doing that, Xander. I'm going to talk to these other coaches for you. And then on the other side of it, I told my staff, y'all better start calling his mother. Y'all better get his mom to understand how bad we want him here, because she saw the everyday of me and him. When we'd come home from the gym and he'd go in his room and close the door and I'd go all mad and not talk to anybody for 2 days. And she saw that every day, and She was like, you sure this is going to be good for our family? And it's like, babe, he wants to do it. I want to do it. I know you want him here. So it worked out this way this time. We thought we were getting another young man from Tulsa. We won it. We beat St. Bonaventure with no money. Okay. They offered a whole bunch of money. We win it with no money. Okay. We don't have NIL. We don't have it. We're working on getting it. But all these people were higher level kids and we didn't have any money. So I'm recruiting dudes out here trying to win it with no money. I'm calling everybody saying, hey, will you give us some money for NIL? We ain't getting you no NIL money. Okay, guys, we're not going to be able to compete. But we won one. St. Bonaventure came back. They tried to hire his coach. They did all kinds of stuff. And extra money. The kid stayed strong. Then about 3 days later, he was supposed to call me. He didn't call me. I looked online. He didn't announce it. I'm like, all right, young fella. Then we called him, and he's like, hey, coach, man, what's up? I'm like, whoa. We sound different now. Nah, coach, you know how it is. I said, no, I do not know how it is. I gave you my word. You gave me your word. You told me it was over. What's happening? And I said, I don't even want to know the school. How much money is it? He said, 90,000. I said, man, you got to take the money, man. I know your family situation. I ain't got none, man. I wish I'm trying right now. I'm calling, making calls, trying to get money for you, man. It's not for us right now, bro. We got some more work to do on that. So you should take that money. Coach, you sound mad. Nah, I'm not mad. I'm disappointed because I stopped recruiting some guys when you told me you was coming, man. But you have to understand the landscape that we're in right now. And so we didn't get that kid, but he had told us about Nikita. And we had been talking to Nikita. I wasn't sure if we were going to have one. So we're recruiting them, but I'm trying to keep it because I don't like telling kids you can come if you really can't come. So we're just building a relationship. He's not asking about money. I'm learning about Ukraine and all kinds of stuff. And I just loved him as a kid. Then I called Frank Haith, who recruited him. I was like, King, he started for me, man. The kid could play. He would have started for them, but he got hurt. So he's supposed to start for the new coach. And he got hurt. And then they tried to get him to come back. He wasn't ready till like the end of January. And he was like, nah, I'm going to save the year. And then at the end, they came. I think both were like, hey, maybe you should go. He was like, I probably should go. I graduated. And we were very fortunate to be standing there and get him. I know Fordham messed with him a little because he has a friend there. I know Hofstra had us on hold because he has a friend there also. And then I think they went with a different big kid and tried to keep him because maybe they were going to take two. And we were like, come on, man. You're going to let him take the other kid and still get you? Come on now. And, he ended up with us. So Nikita has been, I'll tell you guys, he's not the most athletic dude, but he'll be one of the best rebounders while I've been the coach. Okay. He goes after rebounds. He's strong he's just strong. He lifts up everything in the weight room, but it translates to the court. He sets great screens. He's great at handoffs and all that type of stuff. And when he takes his time, he can shoot the ball to three. I let guys do all that stuff. So he's made some, and then he started feeling himself a little bit, took some bad ones, and we talked him out of that. But I think we hit a home run again in the portal.
So, yeah, I mean, you kind of took one of my questions and answered it twice in one. So we were talking to the portal where you see what Deion Sanders is doing at Colorado for football. You see, even in last year's tournament, you see, teams overhauling with 7, 8, 9 transfers and piecing it together and making a run to the Sweet 16. You're seeing stuff like that now. And, it was always, you saw, we grew up with J.J. Redick's and Tyler Hansboroughs and, those guys battling that for 4 years in the ACC. And that's what was so exciting about college basketball. Now it's completely flipped where you can't keep up with these rosters sometimes. And that's what we usually like about Monmouth too, because we usually keep guys for 3 or 4 years. And we were still doing that in a lot of ways. I know you guys try to keep as many kids as you can, but the whole landscape, you're right, it's entirely different now. And with NIL, it's a whole different world for you guys. And I'm sure there's a lot more behind the scenes that we don't even know about that you guys got to deal with. And, it's crazy watching it from our end. So I can't even imagine on your end.
Well, guys, it's right now it's all helter skelter. Everybody's like, oh, the kids are bad. Well, listen, if somebody said, hey man, I'm gonna give you more money to do what you're doing, most people say, okay, I'll do that too. At our level, this is the way you can save your job now. You know what I mean? Guys could have a terrible year, and I don't think I'm one of those guys that has to do that. But all of a sudden you got 7 new dudes, and you can pay them, so you could get guys that you never could get before, and everybody comes for the summer now. So we're getting ready to deal with that the first 2 games. George Mason, they called us talking a whole bunch of money. So I didn't want, we were going to have an easy home game first. Okay. They called with the numbers. I'm like, okay, he got a whole brand new team. We got to look at this one. And, but guys are good at this business now. And, it changed on us fast. In 5 years, we'll be talking about this should have happened a long time ago, because the newness will wear off. Everybody's not going to, the part is everybody thinks they're getting all this money, that the money's going to settle. The main guys are going to get a bunch, and the other guys are going to be on Austin stuff, and you're not getting that much. And at our level, you're going to lose some guys, because if Abdi and Jarrett do what I know they can do this year, and they're going to have the opportunity to do it, it's going to be hard to keep them. Okay. And I knew that. I told Jarrett's people he can't leave after the redshirt year. Okay, but after he plays a year, it could get funny. Okay, so now we have to pay attention to things that we never had to before. All right, but I've always said, if you treat your kids the way they're supposed to be treated, okay, that's why guys don't leave here. All right, we were honest at the beginning. We treat them probably better than you should get treated as a college athlete. Okay, I'm here for them. Okay. My budget is small, but every dime that I can goes to my kids. Okay. That's why we get the most gear on campus. And coaches go, King, man, how you get? Because every penny we buy them gear. Okay. Because that's what college athletes think is cool. Okay. And then we make sure the locker room is cool. We make sure there's computers in there. So a kid shows up and don't got computers, we give you everything. So there's no excuse. There's no excuse. I wish I could be as good as Coach Prime, the way he talks to his kids. Okay, because that thing is getting ready to really even get better than it already is. I hope y'all follow him on Instagram. I'm not on Instagram, but Micah sends me all his stuff. He had one last night that I let my team listen to this morning. And it's just like, if you reach kids, kids won't leave your spot. And then I probably had one, maybe two, where I said, you should probably leave here. Okay. And one was a long time ago. And one, I made a mistake. I'll tell you, Deion Naismith, I messed that up. I totally messed it up. And then I even say, Pierre, I wasn't reaching Pierre anymore. Okay. But our school is so good. He stayed even the year that he wasn't on the team and graduated. I supported him. He lives in Binghamton right now. I got people trying to help him. It just, sometimes it doesn't work out. But I'm a true believer. Coach Smith treated us incredibly well. I treat these kids as well as any coach in the country. So usually there's a lot of trust built up, and they don't want to leave. Now, because of money being involved, we're going to we'll deal with some other things. But I got a staff that is prepared. Like, we won't get caught with not being ready. We got guys in that are talking all the time too. So it's the world we live in now. And if you don't change, you're going to get left behind. So we're starting to understand that and change.
The Monmouth fan base, it was quite an interesting conversation when you came out with the quote about Malik and George and Marcus, that you wanted them to take the time and look at all their options, including returning to Monmouth for the COVID year or not. And it kind of does speak to that trust you have and, what you give to these kids, especially with what you just said about Valencia. Hey, if, he has this year, and then, it's, for the kids, definitely for the kids. I see that.
And it will be hard. Jared and I'm sorry, Mark. It will be hard for him. Like if his people that send him to me try to get him to move, that's going to be a hard conversation for him because how he and I have built this relationship, and we're tight, and he's doing so well, and I'm transitioning him to a wing. Okay, he's a four-man in college right now, but for him to play NBA basketball, European basketball, he gotta be skilled up on the perimeter, and he can guard any position. So it's like, yo, son, we're getting ready to make you a three-man. Okay, his eyes light up, his skill set fits it, and it might be a little early for it right now. He'll be the four, but our style has changed a little bit. We ain't just running him to the rim. He's getting to be out in space. He's a matchup problem, which whoever's guarding him, because if you got a big dude, he's coming outside and you're not staying in front of him. If you put a little dude, he's a four-man that's 6'9". So, but guys, I always said, Coach Smith always gave me the advice that was best for me and my family, not for the best advice for North Carolina basketball. And most people will give you advice that helps them too. Okay, that's how most people will give you advice, and then it always leans to, yeah, it will help them too. Instead of this is what could be best for you. And I'm so thankful for how Coach Smith did with me. I try to do a lot of the things that he did, and that's one of them. And I know, guys, I wanted Malik to stay. I recruited his cousin, okay, Shavar, they're cousins. I thought it was done. But Malik wanted to experience something different. Okay, he still comes back. I got a picture with him and Julian this summer. When the kid died at Drexel, I texted him and said, hey, man, I'm so sorry. I heard you guys were tight. I love you, young fella. He was just so happy that I called him. And I think with George needed to be recruited. Okay, he didn't get recruited out of high school. He didn't get recruited out of prep school. Okay, so it's like, hey, man, I'm going to tell you the truth. Go find out. If you can go to Villanova, Carolina, one of them, I'm sending you. Okay, because you should get a chance to play for a national championship, and your skill set would fit them if they looking for a shooter. Carolina needed one, I know for sure. They didn't do it. Okay, now it's Fordham and all this stuff, and Fordham had a great year with Kyle that year. That wouldn't have been smart for George. That wouldn't have got him any closer to the NBA than being here, So usually families figure it out. And George, it got a little interesting because his brother had told me, well, George is the best shooter in the country going from right to left, and you only got him 3 shots that way all season. I said, your brother didn't have a scholarship. Now he's one of the best 2 guards in the country. What are you talking about? And everybody loves him, and he's going to get to play in Europe. And you're saying I didn't let him shoot enough going to his left? Like, come on, guys, what are y'all just making? You sound like you coach for Fordham. And George figured it out. He was like, yo, coach, I came here, man, and I'm like having the best time of my life. I'm with you, and, I could have tried to jump in there and, hey, George, you shouldn't listen to anybody. And then he probably would have went the other way, and I've learned that you don't get to control everything. Okay, I came in thinking you control everybody's thoughts and everybody. Dr. McNeil taught me that's not the way. Okay, we got First Amendment rights, King. Everybody gets to say how they feel and how they think, bro. You don't get to control what they think, King, and what they say. And it just, first-time head coach, you think you have to control all these things. And I've learned if you treat people right, your kids right, and you give them the skills for life, you help them sharpen those skills, they're going to choose the right way most times.
I'll have to say that Georgia's 4th and 5th year, I think he had one of the greenest lights in Division I basketball, Coach. So I'll just side with you on that one. Some of those shots he took, every once in a while, would get you a little bit on the edge of your seat. Sometimes they went in and there were 3 or 4 of them that went in quick. And sometimes it's one that even, he looks over at you and he kind of gave you the nod. That's on me. I probably should have thrown that one up. But you know what? You lived and died with him for those 2 years. And he was great to watch. So staying on the recruiting trail, one particular name that the fan base was following closely this offseason was Robbie Higgins from Middletown North. He's a local kid, 1,000-point scorer in the NEC. Steve Edelson wrote a great piece about him, his potential coming to Monmouth. A lot of fans thought he might be a fit because he had some quotes saying he was interested. We know he ended up at Elon, was also in the CAA. You kind of spoke to that you were involved with a lot of guys. And now that I hear you speak so highly about Bashir, it kind of makes sense to me that maybe a veteran transfer guard wasn't something that you were looking at this offseason to add to the mix with Xander and Jack because of the young guys you had?
No, I'll tell you. See, this is what people don't know. Okay, we move here, and Robbie is like the hottest kid in this area. Okay, he's a year ahead of Xander. All right, I don't know anybody, so I'm not just throwing my son out there. We going to school, we learning how it is around here. All of a sudden, they playing some things, Robbie and Xander, and they going after each other a little bit. And I thought Robbie was in front of him. Then I found out he's a year older, King. Okay. So I was like, man, how this kid better than my son? He was a year older. People don't know, Robbie came in here every day as a seventh grader. This was before it was ninth grade. You couldn't talk to kids yet. Robbie in seventh grade, Xander in sixth grade. Robbie came in here every morning and made 500 shots with Alexander. His grandfather brought him every single morning before school. So I know that family very, very well. When Xander first started hanging out with girls, he used to go to Robbie's house all the time. Okay, me and his pops are tight. I followed Robbie's career all the way up until he decided where to go. Okay, I used to get to watch him on Saturdays at Hoop Group, all that stuff, because I was watching my son. They played together on teams, all this stuff. I went and saw Robbie one of his last high school games. And I called his dad and I said, listen, man, we're right there. We could go either way, but I'm going to come one more time. All right. Every time I come, he just doesn't do the things that I hear he does all the time. So we go, and Robbie doesn't have a good game. Okay. And his dad's like, King, come on, man. And I'm like, guys, every time. And Glenn Breaker's there. And it's like, King, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it, King. And Robbie ends up with Glenn over there. Robbie and Xander are still friends. Okay. I end up hiring Clive, who coached Robbie for 3 years. Okay. Robbie came in here. He worked out a little bit because he's a local kid. And I always tell the local guys to come. When we had all of our staff meetings, we weren't sure at the time. And I love this kid. Okay. And he told me, I'm going to get y'all, King. All right. I'm going to show you. Okay. I just didn't think it was the right fit for what we were trying to do at the time. I thought him and Xander could play well together if Xan came. And if Xander had already decided. I thought Robbie can play. I told the Elon coaches at CAA meetings, he's like, he got some stuff with him. I said, oh, I know. And he going to really try to show it against us. We scrimmaged him when he was at St. Francis. I think he had like 14. Had a really good game. I'm looking at Miles like he wanted to be here, Miles. Giving Miles a hard time because he was out playing us. But when push came to shove at the time, I didn't know if he fit all the things that we needed him to fit. And Robbie started a business in college. Robbie did some really cool things that I wasn't sure if it might have been hard for him here. Okay. And then you gotta understand, guys, if you take a local kid, that kid has to be one of your better guys. Okay. Or the whole town's gonna blow you up. All right. And we've gone after some high level ones. I told Matt Farrell he should go to Notre Dame. No one recruited him harder than me, but his whole life, that's what he dreamed. Okay. And it's like, all right, he's going to come here. He's not going to play. Justin and them are better than him. He's not going to play. Everybody's going to hate us because this kid ain't going to play for a year or two. And now his family going to be mad, and I'm not dealing with that way. Okay. Now, if it was a mid-major, now that's different, man. Come here. But Anthony Fursker, we thought we won that one. the whole time. He wasn't going to play football. He was coming to play basketball at Monmouth. I watched every one of his games the whole year. Mom came down, said, we're going to Harvard for football. I had to give him a hug. He's going to Harvard for football. Now he's in the NFL. It's like, you have to make sure. And then we got lucky with Jack Collins. We were all on Ben Roy. Everybody, come on, everybody. Okay? We're tight with them too. Okay? Ben's father said to me, King, if your school was in a different town, he's coming with you. It's too much for him here. I said, man, they don't mess with me anyway. So send him here. We'll both be the outcasts. Okay? He was like, man, you crazy, King. All right, but then the kid gets hurt and goes somewhere else. Jack Collins, I sat in here and watched him. I've watched him at a school. I've seen him 100 times. Everybody knew Jack Collins. We didn't like him like that. Rick Callahan, on the last day, we were recruiting somebody else's kid. Rick was watching the game. They played together. He's like, man, this kid is good. And he wanted me to come watch the other kid. And I came and he said, the kid from Manasquan, we got to watch. I'm like, we already seen him 50 times. Well, we got to watch him again. And he's like, King, I need you to come from Philly to Spooky Nook. The last day, guys, I didn't want to go. I was already done at Philly. I'm coming home. Been gone from my family. Ricky complained so much, so I ride over to Spooky Nook. 10 minutes in, I'm like, oh, my God, that kid from Manasquan's good. He's better than the other kid. He's like, well, we could get him. I'm like, well, we can't now, but if he goes to prep school, he could come. We told the family that. They came up a couple of days later. We told the family that. He was going to prep school. He committed, and the rest has been, we got lucky because no one expected him to do what he's doing. And he's going to even have a better year this year. He's stronger. He's more disciplined with the ball. He's shooting it like crazy. And he is by far the toughest person, no matter who we play on the court. So we try to get some, and then the shooter that ended up, I think, at Dartmouth, the Barry kid. I love that kid's game, but he never would come over here. Like local dudes, we got open gym all summer. I get in trouble having so many people in here. All right, they tell me, man, you got too many people. What is something bad's gonna happen? All this stuff, and I keep having everybody come here because we love ball. If you're a local kid and you think you can play at Monmouth, you should come up here in the summer and hoop with our guys. They'll tell me who can hoop. Every kid, you think you're nice like that. But what happens with us guys is people call and go, hey, this kid from Manalapan can play for Monmouth. Okay, can he play for Charleston? No. Can he play for Iona? No. Well, then why can he play for us? All these guys like, yo, and then they go somewhere that's not even our level. And it's like, guys, then why should, like, this is hard to do, and then other things, guys, that's funny about recruiting. We have high standards to get into Monmouth. Okay, we ain't call nobody's name out, but everybody can't come to Monmouth. All right, sometimes people say names and they're like, man, he should recruit him. Well, y'all don't know what his transcript looked like, and if the kid can really play, we're going to try to do it. And a lot of times, like Justin Robinson, we couldn't got Justin Robinson in school. Okay. But because we had done some things academically the right way, they said, we're going to give you this one, King. We're going to let you have this one. All right. Well, that was already after Emmy Andujar wanted to come. Rashawn Storrs wanted to come. Half their team wanted to come that won the championship. We couldn't get them in school when I got the job. Okay. There was no way. And then I came back one day, President Gaffney was out on the field, and he was like, how's it going, coach? We're getting ready to move to the MAC. And I was like, listen, these guys can get guys in school. We can't get in school. What are you talking about, King? No, they can get guys. This is the league we're in now, and they're getting guys in that we say no to. And these guys would have came with us, and they're going to win, and we're not. He said, well, we got to look at it. And we looked at it. That's how I got Justin. Okay, so then they let Justin come. Justin makes Dean's List. Okay, and guys, understand, that changed our whole school.
Thank God you got that one.
Okay, that changed. No, now all of a sudden football gets guys in school. You weren't seeing dudes like Juwan Ferry and these dudes at Monmouth before that. You see one once in a while, but Miles Austin was a great student. These dudes we changed the game because they trusted us with Justin. And then he did so well because at Monmouth, once you're in, they give you all that you need. We got tutors, we got, y'all know, we got everything once you're in, but they protect that gate strongly about we ain't letting someone in, King, that can't do the work. Well, guys, this was one of my arguments to him. I could go to North Carolina and I wouldn't have been able to get into Monmouth. You would have said no to the #1 point guard in the whole country. I couldn't have got in here. But now I'm your head coach. That don't make sense, guys. Okay? You got to give people chances. And I'm telling you, because of Justin, then we could get another one. And because everybody now has graduated, and it's been so long, now it's like, well, we might not let people in school again. It's an ongoing, we're trying to, we're an academic place. So you move up to the CAA, now you're in with Stony Brook and Hofstra. That's higher level schools than the ones we were just battling with, academic wise. They're a whole different level of school. So that's big time for our school to be looked at as the same as William and Mary. So I understand, but I think, we have a lot of coaches that have been here a long time, Coach Callahan being the godfather. All right, Carly, most of us been here a long time now. Well, you give somebody a chance, and if they do well, then give us 2. And then if we do well, give us 4. And now it happens faster. So recruiting is hard, guys. And then we shoot high a lot of times. We try to get a kid that Atlantic 10 is trying to get. And those are hard gets sometimes. And then the ones that everybody just try to hand you, guys, you can't win the league with that. You just can't. And no disrespect to anybody's kid or anybody's evaluation. And then you can't just be the best guys. Do they fit each other? Do they fit Monmouth? And then, guys, the hardest part about Monmouth, and you guys probably know this because you live here. It's 8-1 girls to guys. Everybody can't handle that. Okay. And this is my life. Okay. It's 8-1. All right. So you think guys that aren't good at school and hoop, and now you give them 8 girls to 1. All right. It's hard to stay in school here, guys. Okay.
You get other girls in New Jersey coming to visit Monmouth at the shore Friday nights, other schools, and it triples after that.
No, so guys, this is a recruiting pitch when you're not with the families, when you're just with.
No, I tell the moms first, guys. That I told you, Dr. McNeil used to get mad. I tell everything, because guys, most of these kids, when we're recruiting them, they got their parents, so you don't know who you are yet. Okay, I didn't know who I was. I was King Rice leaving home that had a father that never let me go outside except to basketball games. I had 10:30 curfew as a senior. So now all of a sudden I go to Chapel Hill. There's no supervision. You get to do whatever you want. I had never been alone before. I lost my mind, guys. Okay, I started drinking. I'm out every night. Oh, I never did anything like that. Ever. I didn't drink. Okay, so now I get away from home. That's who I become. The kid, if my dad was there, I would have never had any problems. I probably would have made the NBA if my dad lived there, because he did not let me do any of those things. So now I'm getting a family to trust me with their son, and it's 8-1, and our school's numbers come out like 3-1, 4-1, and that's ridiculous. All you gotta do is walk around campus. Just walk around, come up here one day and go, all right, that's more than 4-1. Okay, so you got to be careful. And I think the one part we've done, we've picked the right kids. Okay, we've found the right families that fit Monmouth. We've missed on some. We've missed on more than we should have. Okay, I got a staff that should be able to land big recruits. So we've missed more, and that beats you up a little bit. But you get up and you keep rolling forward, and you keep trying to run a program, a clean program, and I think we've done that. And I want y'all to know we can address this. No one's sicker than me that we haven't won and made the tournament yet. Okay? Nobody. And I know, guys, I'm as competitive. I won't say I'm more competitive than everybody, because who am I to say that? But I'm right there with you. If you super competitive and will go to the walls for it, that's me. All right? I can't I have never done anything for 13 years and didn't win the championship ever. Okay, that don't even line up with me. So just know with that, guys, I I, I I don't take it lightly. I'm driven to get that for everyone. Probably not even for me. I've proven a lot of things to myself that I had questions about from 13 years ago because of my background, because of things I did in the past. You know, a lot of people didn't want me to get a seat like this. Okay, 13 years later, you're still sitting there. Had some heavy bumps along the way, but you're still sitting there. So I've proven to my family that I could do it, to my friends, to the people that didn't think I could, to some of my Carolina brothers. Had a lot of things to say that didn't think we would be able to do this, you know, and they probably felt that way for some of my actions when I was younger. But I've proven that I could do this and be a dad. Um, and no one wants to win it more than me, you know. And I'm friends with Tim Clues. All right, that's my man because you have to show respect when someone just kept getting the best of you. Okay, we get the best of them during the year. He's shaking my hand, telling me, "You got the best team, King, man." And then they get us in the championship. You know, it just so you got to respect those guys, respect those kids, and then just you know I tell myself a lot. Coach Smith didn't win one for a long time. My close friend that I'm not playing this year because I thought it got a little weird when we played him yet last year, James Jones. James was there 17 years before he got one. Then he got one. Now he got like 8. Okay. Um, and maybe guys, maybe I won a lot when I was younger. The Lord ain't got this one in the plans for me. You know what I mean? But we'll see. We're gonna keep on plugging to get that one done.
One
I mean,
quick,
listen, real quick, despite the 2 years when you first got here and you're rebuilding from scratch, and then there's problems in the program before that, and then you're there right there 2 years with Justin. You're there 2 years ago. You're in COVID was a weird year versus Fairfield. Your COVID stopped, and we were a top 2 or 3 team in the MAC that year. We probably would have at least been in the finals versus Siena that year. And it's not like we haven't been there. We're the bottom 5 of the conference every year. We've been there more years than not, and we know that. Obviously the fans get frustrated and they want to see us on the bracket. And the one year, we definitely should have been, but it's of course it eats away everybody. But the head coach and the players, obviously more than anyone. But it's not like we haven't been there. We've been right there, and one year it's going to push through. It's just trying to get the right team, and you guys keep pushing. That's all you can do.
No, and guys, we're gonna surprise. I don't know if we'll surprise them because we've done it before, but this team is different. Okay, this team right now, I can't wait to see us compete against other people. We're taking care of the ball. We can shoot like crazy this year. We got multiple shooters. Um, we're slowing them down a little bit on offense just so they can play better. Um, and like I said, I think Zan slows us down a bunch. He can be the 1 or the 2. Jakari's a year older. The young boys that we got. Um, Clem, once his back is better, he's last year at the end, he was putting up Walker Miller numbers. The last 10 games, he's 13-8. So if we get him close to that, I think I don't even know. I saw one thing they had us about 6th or 7th. I saw one about 9th or 10th. I didn't get the book this year because I haven't been to the airport very often to buy them, and I'm not that guy. I just try to focus on my team. But I'm telling you, we're gonna break through with this team. We ain't gonna finish towards the bottom. I know that. And a couple years ago, Wilmington went from last to first. So I'm thinking more like that than anything else. After going through it this year, I thought we could play with those teams last year, even as watching the tapes after. We weren't very good, and we still had the 5-game run where we outplayed people. And now I think our bodies look more like those bodies in that league. Because you show up and you just look and you're like, man, they're so much bigger than us. And now our bodies are bigger too. Our strength coach did a tremendous job. Everybody worked this summer. We just look different now. So that should give us some confidence. And these kids are really, really bought in right now. So it makes you excited as the coach. I've been saying we're going to win a whole bunch. Ricky's more veteran than me. He's like, King, don't say that. I'm like, nah, you know how I am. We're going to win. I don't care. We're going to get to the number we need to get to this year so I can go home and see my family and not have to look away every time Julian says, I love you, Dad. Hey, man, I lost again, son. So, we're going to walk with our head high this year when we catch some of these people.
So one quick comment from me, and then Ryan's going to close it out with you, Coach. You said about players that got away, and anyone who's ever listened to our podcast, there's one player, it just breaks my heart all the time. I just love the kid so much, love his game, followed his career from high school. RJ Cole. That's the one guy who got away from me. It breaks my heart. I felt like he could have been, and again, we never say it, but because he was a lefty, it's a little different. Lefty version of Justin Robinson here. I just love that kid's game so much, and it breaks my heart. I saw him play at Howard the first game of his freshman season. He had like 28 points. They were playing some high major, and it just, I can only imagine how you felt watching that and seeing that. That one still hurts to this day. It doesn't hurt as much as 2016. It doesn't hurt as much as the MAC title games losing, but it's right there.
Well, let me tell you, okay? We thought we were getting him. All right? Got tight with his dad, super duper tight. Xander played with him on the team, was starting as a sophomore. RJ's like this. Come on, little bro, everywhere. All right, Mr. Hurley's like, King, you be the best coach for him. And guys, sometimes, right, you have these dads. This is what happened with Xander. Everybody called me all the time. And I would tell them, hey, you better check with my wife. All right. I'm giving you my wife's number. I've known you 20 years. I've never given you my wife's number. I'm giving you my wife's number. Call his mother and make sure I'm cool if he picks you. But you better recruit his mom because she takes him to all the games. She sits with him. She's his mama. All right. I don't have as much say as her. Everybody thinks I'm the coach. Oh, I'm going to control it. No. She had that boy. I'm just her husband and his daddy, okay? RJ, I thought I was getting him. I sat all summer with him and his pops. Kevin Nickelberry's my man. He used to be an assistant here. That's my man. My man, he's at all the games. I'm like, Nick, what are you doing, bro? You can't win this one. Yo, you spending all this time, bro. Late night, last game, me and Nickelberry, the only ones watching. I'm like, Nick, man, you tripping, bro. That boy ain't going that low. Come on, man. Man, I'm just going to do my job. King, you do your job when you going against them other dudes. I'm just doing my job, brother. Okay, Nick, wasting your time, though, man. I'm good over here. I'm good with Mr. Hurley. I'm good. My son played with him. I'm going to just keep coming, King. That's all. I told everybody to call Alexander's mother. I used to see RJ's mom and go, hey, how you doing? And keep it moving and kept talking to his dad. We chose the wrong parent. Kevin and his mama went to high school together. When push came to shove, his mama said, we ain't going to Monmouth, we going to Howard. I called his dad, hey, man, what you want me to do? I was like, man, you told me you was in charge. He said, man, that's his mama. I'm just his daddy. And RJ went there, okay? And we were sick about it, all right? We missed on 2 other kids that we said no because we thought we was getting them, okay? And then I had to see Nickelberry for the next 10 years. He let me know every time, you didn't know I had his mama. Me and his mom was cool from high school. Can't win that one. I thought we won it, couldn't, had no chance. He should have been telling me, you can't win this one, King. And his dad is in the front at all the St. Anne's games. Everybody knows him. He trains kids. He had trained like 5 kids on my team. He's made it seem like he was calling that one. And I'm smarter than that. I know better than that. And I did not recruit his mom as hard as Nickelberry did. And she wanted that for her son. And I had to take my hat off to him. And I'm still cool with the family. His dad even said, I thought he was coming with you, King. and when that happens, guys, it crushes you, but you got to keep moving. You got to keep moving. And I don't go after a lot of guys, all right, because I think you're lying when you offered 45 guys and you got 5 scholarships. Ain't no way. Okay, so I go after a few. If we got 5, I'm gonna go after about 9 guys, and we're gonna go all in. And I'm gonna call them all the time. I'm gonna be in their face. I'm gonna be in their parents' house. I'm gonna do all of that, and we're gonna try hard and show you who we are. You can't do that with 45 guys, and we do it with the 9. And sometimes you win, and sometimes you lose more than you win. That's just how this business is, and we're pretty good at getting the guys once we really focus in on them. And but sometimes you miss, Mark, and you got to be happy for them. The cool thing is they call you. Sometimes you read about it on TV, or you see it on TV, or read about it on Twitter, and it's like, yo, I thought, and now you don't, you like you thought you had this relationship, and they didn't even call you, then it's out on thing, and you're like, oh my goodness, well, what? But we try to have all my staff talk to everybody. So, because if I really want a kid, sometimes you don't hear the truth. The kid will be telling you he likes someone more, but because he says he likes you too, you don't hear the truth about the other schools. So I try to have my whole staff call mom, dad, kid, girlfriend, whoever it might be, just so you don't stay on the wrong person for too long. And we've figured it out usually a little quicker before you get left at the altar.
So, Coach, I know you got to go. You got to get home soon. So, last question for you. Looking back on the better memories we've had at Monmouth over the years, we know you schedule up big with people, even the mid-majors. We're not going after bottom feeders. Like, you're always playing guys that are either in the tournament or conference championships, and it gives us a great level of competition for the fans to watch, number one, and also for the kids to play against. And, I know you've talked a lot over the years about giving the kids not just for a buy game and money, but for the experience of playing at a Kansas or a Carolina or, all those schools we've been to over the years, Virginia, West Virginia. And, what's one game over the years that you're kind of the most proud of where your kids walked out? It could be a mid-major championship. It can be a big game, but what's one game you walked out of that gym proudest where you're like, all right, our guys won that game or we competed tonight and we did our thing on the biggest stage?
Guys, it'd probably be UCLA or Notre Dame, because Notre Dame was ranked. And guys, you gotta remember, UCLA beat Kentucky that year, okay? And then they acted like it wasn't a good win for us or something. It's like, guys, come on now. But to do it on that floor with the history of Coach Wooden, and it's UCLA, and then that Notre Dame game, because we played Notre Dame when I first got here. Okay, I think my first year. And after the game, I think Coach Bray's one of the best. Okay, but I was a young head coach. Well, not so young as a person, but as a head coach, I was young at it, and they beat us. And Pat Connaughton was like the baseball kid that was going to play basketball too, and he had a big game. And after the game, I was crushed, guys. I'm like, man, I should have been in this. I don't know, maybe I shouldn't have been the head coach. And Coach Bray grabbed my hand and he said, King, let me tell you something. You're doing a hell of a job, man. And I said, Coach, don't do that to me. I kind of pulled it. I said, don't do that to me, man. You just beat me by 30, man. He said, King, you got almost all your Carolina stuff in. You just got this job, man. Okay, you got your whole offense in. You running stuff Carolina run better than they run. And your kids play so hard, King. That's half of it right there, bro. You're ahead of the game right now, man. And I was like, Coach, but don't do that, man. Don't say it if it ain't really, if my shit is good or not. Excuse my language. And he was like, no, man, I would never do that to you, King. So to come back a few years later and play them and be able to win that game, okay, and guys, I don't know how much you remember. We got lucky in that one. All right, like Justin gets called a foul. He goes to the line, makes 2 after we tackled their point guard, who was the All-American. All right, and then Justin gets touched. It's a foul. He makes them, and then they shoot a half-court shot and lose. Okay, it's like if the foul got called, we lose that game. And one of the biggest ones that happened for us didn't happen. But the way they beat us my first or second year was that we could even be on the floor with them. That one was cool. And then I know Georgetown wasn't that good at the time, but with John Thompson being there, and I looked up to him so much as a young dude. I didn't like him because I liked Syracuse when I was a young fella, and they used to beat him all the time. So I didn't like him like that as a coach, but I respected him so much as a man, what he did for the game and what he did for minority student athletes, and took those hits standing up for everybody. Um, that one was cool because he knew who I was. He remembered I played for Coach Smith. He remembered me as a kid, and he said some really nice things that night. And he was mad. He was like, "Man, you ain't supposed to beat my blah, 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 but man, good job, young fella, man. You're doing some cool things over there." So that was, those three were probably the really, really biggest ones. I think we won at Iona after we started poorly one year and won that game. And then one time at Iona, they ran a 1-5 ball screen like 45 times in the game, and we stopped it like 38 times, and we won big against them. That one was pretty cool. That, like, because Tim was so good. Tim, people don't even know, for when we first started playing them, we were using an out of bounds defense that nobody scored on the whole season. Okay, no one. You can look back, and Tim came in here and he scored like 12 points on out of bounds defense. All right, and those are the things when you're a coach. When no one scored, Larry Brown didn't score on us. No one. Tim Clues looked at my defense and killed it out of bounds defense. So now everybody's telling me he just lets them do all this and all that. And I'm like, oh my goodness, this man is such an X and O genius, but he's hiding it behind the sky that he has all these kids that they just, most guys wouldn't have recruited all of them. And he has them doing what he wants more than anybody, any coach in our league. And then the next time we play him, no one would have scored the whole time in between them games against our defense. And he would do something different and score 8 points against our defense. And that's when you just got to take your hat off. Okay. You got to say, man, this cat, I need to start meeting with him after the season. Just respect as a 45-year-old dude. You got to give him his props and see if he'll talk to you about some of this stuff. And because he's such a good dude, we became friends, and when we stayed in touch, I still reach out to him. Last year when we were struggling, he kept hitting me saying, "Man, stay strong, King, stay strong." So that those types of things are what makes it cool to be a head coach. And then Justin having a son, now I'm like a grandfather. Okay, Josh James being a police officer. Okay, those things, man, it's like them kids came here counting on you to help them get their future. And now what they're doing, it's like, I got to be the lucky one to be on their journey. So those are the things, guys, that, you know, make it cool. I'm proud that we're 13 years. Um, the president that hired me, then we had an intern, we had another one, then we had an intern, and then we have another one. That's 4 presidents in 12 years. This is my 3rd league, and now my 3rd AD. And you guys are sports guys. So usually you get a new building, a new AD, a new league, or a new president, the coaches get fired. I've had 4 and 3 and 3, and it's like, and we're standing strong. And I'm so thankful to Monmouth that they gave me this opportunity, because a lot of people didn't. And now, I'm truly a Monmouth guy now. I've been the coach. This will be my 13th year. And I'll tell you guys, after this year, it goes down to 3. If we win a certain amount of games, it goes back to 5. And we'll be talking. Someday, I tell people all the time, I got chosen to carry this thing for as long as they'll allow me. There was a Monmouth before me. I'm getting the lucky one that gets to do it for these years. And someday there's going to be a Monmouth after me. I will be on the West Coast, but I'll come back always. Okay. Because I played a role in this incredible place, and I always try to leave things better when I leave it than when I found it. And I think we've done that. And I'm friends with Dave. Okay. That was like a hard one. Dave and I are the same age. We got kids the same age. All right. He got a 22-year-old and an 11-year-old too. I don't know how that happened. We both, I used to like to have some sips and he used to have some sips. We both love ball. We came to college the same year. Me and him would have been best friends if I wasn't following him here. You know what I mean? And now I'm glad I've got to be the coach long enough. His son was on my team. He supports us like crazy. He tells his former guys to support us. So it's like this has been an incredible part for me and my wife. Okay, I raised a son that went to Bucknell. My 11-year-old is nasty. Okay, he's nasty at football, baseball, and basketball. And, he'll be going to some college someday. He always says he's going to play for Monmouth. But Xander used to say that when he was 11 too. Okay, so guys, it's been a cool 13 years without having that one carrot that I'm fighting for right now. Okay, if y'all ever want me to come on, hit us. All right, y'all can shoot at me because you pay attention. All right, I'm not gonna always do it right, but no, it's thought out. All right, unless I get too mad, and then no one's thinking when they're mad like I get sometimes, and then something stupid might come out, and I try not to do that. Badge always tries to calm me down before that will happen, because sometimes, oh no, I'll do it right now, and then that's not good because you should give yourself some time. But I know you guys pay attention. Okay, so anything that comes, I'll come on. If something happens during the year and you think it was the dumbest decision ever, you want to hit me about it, I'll come on. You can shoot it. Okay. I'll probably be able to tell you why it went that way. Um, but if y'all need me or want to get conversation going, I'm here. Okay. Anytime.
We'd
And
love to have you
y'all
on.
been
And
nice to me today. All right. I appreciate it. But that's why I wanted no, and you can have people call in. I tell Badge all the time, have people call, send questions. Tell them we'll bring them on again in 3 weeks. If y'all didn't hit something that people want to know, come on. Okay. Because I got to do a better job of getting out. Okay. COVID happened, guys. I ain't recovered yet. I stay home all the time. And that's not even me. I'm the dude that got to be out in the mix. And COVID, since that, I've pulled back. Um, I'm still a little nervous. I got scared because 2 of my friends died. So I'm like, man, I ran my body bad when I was younger. It'd probably get on me. I won't make it. And I want to see Alexander and Julian have some kids someday. So I'm trying to, I'm trying to get out of that fear of that COVID's gonna knock me down. So, but if you want me to come on anytime, I'll come. I'm gonna start doing some. We're talking about having the coaches come and speak to some people here when we play them, if guys would do that. Um, we used to always do that back in the day, and now it's kind of calmed down. But we got some pretty good coaches in this league, and they all come the night before. So we might start having some luncheons. So you could ask the coach if I can get some money raised up to pay them if they'll do it. Guys will be like, hey, give me 500, I'll come, something like that. But, that might be something we could have luncheons when, the day before a game or something, and let the other coach talk and give his pregame, whatever, why he thinks he's going to beat us. But I'm trying to get out more in public so everybody, if you got questions, want to know, I want this building full for these kids, man. So I'm calling fans and all kinds of stuff now to try to get more people to come. If you like me or not, come support these kids, man, because this team is gonna do some really cool stuff.
so we're definitely taking you up on getting you back on the show because this was awesome. And I'll tell you right now, Notre Dame was probably my favorite memory too. I remember finishing Thanksgiving dinner with my family upstairs. The whole family's over. I finished, said, we got to go beat Notre Dame. I'm going downstairs. I don't care who comes with me. I was alone watching the game.
Because nobody believed it.
Had some big 3 in the second half. I lost my mind. I'm screaming, and somebody rushed downstairs to make sure I was not having a heart attack or something. And I kind of was, but we won the game and I was losing it, and everybody went home like we can't take him anymore. So that was up there for me too. So we appreciate you coming on. We appreciate you coming on, Coach. This was amazing. The fans are going to love this, and I think it'll be great for them to really see you behind the scenes and really talking about the program and not just coaching the interviews after the game and when everything is super raw. I think it'll be great for the fans to really be able to see you talk and really talk Monmouth. And we really appreciate the time that you gave us tonight.
Well, anytime, guys. And like I said, I respect that you guys pay attention. Okay. Like I said, a lot of people just say stuff and it's like, man, you don't even watch us. You guys watch. I know I see you. All right. So you watch, you care, you love Monmouth. So I respect that, and guys that watch, you should have opinions. Don't waste your time and not have opinions if you're coming and paying your money to come, all that type of stuff. But something we might be able to do, guys, because I'll give the tickets away. All right. Maybe we can have drawings on your show where you get 3 tickets, 5, 4 tickets, 2 family members come with you or something. And then y'all do a something, this caller call in if you're number 7, and then we'll give you 2 tickets or something. And Monmouth will get mad, but I'm talking to the president about giving the tickets away anyways. If we're not selling them, we should give them away. Then the building's full. Now you might sell some T-shirts. You sell sodas and candy and popcorn and all that stuff. That still helps the athletic department. Then give that money to soccer so they can fly on their trips. And field hockey can get uniforms home and away. You know what I mean? That's some way we could help in that type of stuff. So think about that, guys, and we could figure out, some of those types of things, and and we want people to come and watch, man. So anything we can do to get them in the building, let us know. All right,
Coach, I think we took up more than enough of your time tonight. Get home to your family. Thank you so much for everything. This was you were as open and honest as I've ever heard you in an interview, and we appreciate that. You being so candid. And again, we made this podcast for the fans and for the kids, because no one was covering your kids that year, and the fans didn't have anybody's take on the team besides, like you said, some people spouting off their own opinions without really thinking it through. And we were part therapist and part journalist that year, because that was the year where you guys started. I think it was 0-9 before you won the one in the Palestra. So it became a lot. It became a lot for us, because we were talking about how you should still have your job security. We were talking about decisions. We were talking about people just flying off the handle. It was a lot to handle, and we understand that you're in the limelight. You're up in a public scrutinized position, and all that comes with it. Like we said, we've always been a little, we'll critique. We will, give you a lot of support. We will say the moves you make are great. If we don't like a move, we don't like a move. We've called for guys to play more from the bench. We've called for different strategies, but overall, we're here to support you and the kids, and just kind of give a voice for our fans. So it was amazing to have you here tonight. Thank you, sir.
and guys, if I didn't respect, all right, and Mark, you're the main one because I see you. Okay, I see you. I think it's your dad. You know what I mean? You've been here since the beginning when I first would look up and see y'all. Okay, so that tells me you really care. Okay, and I know there's a lot of nights y'all probably like, man, this dude's a bum. He can't coach. I get it. Some days I go home, I say, honey, you still love me? I didn't do a good job today. I'm as real with myself. I look in the mirror and I say it. Hey, you didn't do a good job, man. Come on, man. People counting on you, King. You can't. And then the other part, guys, sometimes I get too mad. Can't get mad when you're dealing with kids. You can't. That's the dumbest one out of everybody. And I tell my kids that all the time. And my son has watched me get mad like that. Now he keeps his cool so much. I'm trying to learn it from him now, because he don't act like that. I think he watched me and be like, oh, that's terrible. I'll never be like that. And he's fiery, but he's not going to lose his cool. And I'm proud of a dad. And I apologize to him, Julian, my wife. Okay, but just know I'm not going to go over the deep end, because I promised my wife I'll never embarrass her and my kids. Okay, not that way. So, all right. Look forward to seeing y'all soon, fellas. All right.
Thank you, Coach.
All right,
Thanks, Coach.
talk to
Take
you.
care. Be well.
All right, Badge sitting right here, guys. He's making sure I don't mess this up.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
guys. All right, guys. Well, if you didn't enjoy that, then you're probably not a Monmouth fan. That was awesome of Coach to come on with us. We've been waiting a long time, hoping to get that to work out, and he was awesome tonight. And I can't really thank enough. I mean, we were planning on 45 minutes. That was about double that. So if you got through this far, hopefully, we appreciate you guys listening. Where we will get a preseason podcast in sometime before the first game, looking at the schedule, the roster, going through some of the stuff we talked about tonight. Hopefully we get Mike on next time. He had a last minute cancellation. But yeah, anything to add, Mark, before you get out of here? I gotta eat dinner.
This was the episode that we never saw coming. That's what I'll say.
Yep.
The episode we never saw coming. Shout out to Gary Colwall, King Rice, Monmouth Athletics. They reached out to Ryan about coming on to the show. So this wasn't just so everyone knows, we weren't hitting them up every year for, can we have the coach? Can we have this? Can we have that? We've never asked for it. We've never asked for that. So, everyone who's listening, all the Monmouth fans, you should really think about the fact that Monmouth basketball took it upon themselves to reach out to us to be on our show, which is really cool when, we've always just tried to be a voice of the Monmouth fans, the voice of Monmouth Nation. And that voice kind of intertwined with Coach Rice. We were able to ask him all sorts of questions that, weren't scripted by someone who was controlling it. They let us go with everything for you guys. So Monmouth fans, I hope you're happy with the show we put out. And how could you not be with how great King was tonight?
I mean, I think, we definitely have more questions we left on the table. I mean, listen, when King gets on and answers a question, like, he's going to answer the question and he gives you a lot of details. And that's like awesome. Most coaches give you a 3-sentence answer and that's the end of it. So if anybody's a Yankee fan, no, Mark, I know you're not, but if anybody's seen the Talking Yanks podcast on Instagram and TikTok and all that, they do a weekly or bi-weekly show with Aaron Boone. And that's why I was hoping for with this type of thing with King, and maybe every month or every few weeks, maybe we're lucky enough to get him on. And he said, throw stuff at me. And, if we do fan questions and maybe he doesn't call time that when we want him to, or maybe something happens in a game and, we talk about it and maybe he comes back it up as us, maybe he doesn't, and we have a dialogue. But as long as it's mostly positive, I think this will be a nice relationship between us and King. Hopefully we'll get some players on and we'll give you guys a little more access this year. But yeah, that was awesome. That was awesome. So thank you guys for listening and watching. Hope everybody's healthy and safe, and we'll see you guys next time. Have a good night.